Thank you for tuning into the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afio Levi Israel. Now, if you're interested in helping us promote our brand, please feel free to donate to our Cash App. Our Cash App is $Afiel Levi. That's APHIELLEVI. And that'll go directly to the Forefront Radio so we can produce more incredible shows for you to listen to. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download this free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you.
I'm anxious, I'm ready to go the day before. I'm excited to hurry up and get my garment out the door. It's a joyous occasion to congregate. Holy day, let's celebrate. Yeah. Leviticus 23, these days with my family brings me good joy, cause the world wants to tear us down, down, down. Coming together, exhorting one another, because the troubles of the world can get you down, down.
Holy congregation, family on this high holy day. Don't worry about the stress of this world, it'll all fade away on this high holy day. As I look up out my window, the sun beams brighter on the Lord's day. Even the wind sings a sweet melody as the Spirit blows through the trees.
Leviticus 23, these days with my family brings me good joy, cause the world wants to tear us down, down, down. Coming together, exhorting one another, because the troubles of the world can get you down, down.
Holy congregation, family on this high holy day. Don't worry about the stress of this world, it'll all fade away on this high holy day.
I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from Yahuwah, maker of the heavens and earth. He does not allow your foot to be moved. He who watches over you does not slumber. See, he who is guarding Yisrael neither slumbers nor sleeps. Yahuwah is your guard. Yahuwah is your shade. At your right hand, the sun does not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Yahuwah guards you from all evil. He guards your being. Yahuwah guards your going out and your coming in now and forever. Yahuwah is your guard. not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Yahuwah guard you from all evil things. He guard your does my help come from? Where does my help come from? Yahuwah, guard your going out. Yahuwah, guard your coming in now and forevermore, and forevermore, now and forever. I lift up mine eyes, yes, to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from Yahweh Eliezer. Does your help come from? Whom does your help come from? Yes. How does your help come? When does your help come? When you look upon the hills which provide the viewing of Yah himself, yes. Look upon the things above. Do not focus on the things below. Keep your mind stayed on heavenly things, yes. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from Yahuwah, maker of the heavens and earth. He does not allow your foot to be moved. He who watches over you does not slumber. See, he who is guarding Yisrael neither slumbers nor sleeps. Yahuwah is your guard. Yahuwah is your shade. At your right hand, the sun does not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. Yahuwah guards you from all evil. He guards your being. Yahuwah guards your going out and your coming in now and forever.
You are now listening to The Forefront Radio, where we discuss history, the Bible, the history of the Israelites, science, and other matters. Bring it out. The history of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as it relates to the Bible. Who were you prior to slavery? Who were you prior to colonization? These answers and more can be seen and heard as you listen to The Forefront Radio. You're listening to The Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel. You're going to hear a clip here shortly from Democracy Now! Discussing the issues going on in the land of Israel with Gaza and how the people over there, the people of European descent and the people of Arabian descent are fighting against each other and warring against each other. And they're bombing women and children, and it's apparent that a lot of conflict is going on there. So listen to this news story, and we'll be back shortly.
The death toll in Gaza has reached at least 83 as Israel's aerial bombardment of the besieged territory enters a fourth day. The dead include at least 17 children. Over 480 Palestinians have also been injured. Israel's now amassing troops near Gaza for a possible ground invasion. This comes as many Palestinians are celebrating Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. On Wednesday, Israel leveled one of the tallest buildings in Gaza City, a 14-story high-rise that housed several local media outlets as well as residential units. It was the third Gaza high-rise destroyed this week by Israel. Israel has also killed several top Hamas commanders. Meanwhile, the death toll in Israel has reached 7 as Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups continue to fire hundreds of rockets into Israel. Israel is reportedly rejecting calls for an immediate ceasefire, saying the assault will continue until there's, quote, complete quiet in Gaza. The deadly Israeli attacks come after hundreds of Palestinians were injured in Jerusalem and the West Bank by Israeli security forces Monday and over the weekend, including during crackdowns at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, and over ongoing protests to stop the expulsion of Palestinians from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. On Wednesday, President Joe Biden reasserted Israel's right to defend itself.
Israel has a right to defend itself when you have thousands of rockets flying into your territory. But I had a conversation for a while with the Prime Minister of Israel, and I think that my hope is that we'll see this coming to conclusion sooner than later.
On Wednesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin expressed his, quote, ironclad support for Israel in a call with his Israeli counterpart. Meanwhile, at the United Nations, the United States has blocked another Security Council resolution about the crisis. Violence is also spreading across Israel, with Jewish mobs attacking Palestinians in mixed Jewish and Arab communities. In the Israeli city of Haifa, a video was posted online showing an Israeli mob trying to break into the home of an Arab family. In the Israeli city of Bat Yam, an Israeli mob was shown on live TV attacking a driver who they suspected of being an Arab. The man was dragged from his car and attacked. He was left bleeding on the ground after what the Israeli media described as an attempted lynching. The Financial Times reports the man was Jewish but was mistaken as an Arab. In other parts of Bat Yam, large groups of Israelis were seen vandalizing Arab-owned businesses. In the city of Acre, Israelis were filmed marching in the streets, chanting death to Arabs. In the Israeli city of Lod, Hundreds of Border Patrol officers have been deployed in a curfew following sustained protests by the city's Palestinian residents. On Wednesday, groups of Israelis attacked the Great Amari Mosque of Lod. Earlier in the week, a Palestinian man was shot dead there. At least one synagogue has also been set on fire. We begin today's show in Gaza, where we're joined by Issam Adwan. He's the Gaza project manager for We Are Not Numbers. Can you describe, Issam, what's happening on the ground in Gaza right now?
Thank you, Amy, for having me here. Basically, we have been seeing an ongoing aggression on Gaza, and this is ongoing, has been happening since 2008, 2012, 2014, and nowadays we're witnessing fourth brutal war of Gaza. The scene is horrific, and it's terrifying on our children and ourselves, that we find a lot of stories of children, a lot of stories of women, and this is creating a lot of scary moments for our people to handle. As you said, that the Ministry of Health has reported the death toll until so far 83 people, including 17 children and seven females, including a female who was pregnant. This is all these coming in news out of Gaza. They're not something new. Luckily, that the social media and the international community paid enough attention to the Israeli aggression that is happening in Gaza, in the West Bank, as we have been witnessing in the past week, as it happens in Sheikh Jarrah, the land grabbing, the detention of children, and including children and women, and the theft of Palestinian homes, and continuous ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Sheikh Jarrah, in different cities and different villages of Palestine.
And Issam, even before the present assault on Gaza, conditions in Gaza were more or less unlivable. The UN warned in 2012 that by 2020, if prevailing conditions at the time continued, the area would be entirely uninhabitable. Could you talk about what conditions, living conditions in Gaza have been like?
That is exactly what the international community fails to understand, that they think this war is the only violation of human rights Israel is doing to the people of Gaza. Over the past 15 years, we have witnessed 3 brutal wars, and this is a 4th one, including the situation is deteriorating from different levels. We're seeing medical insufficiency of expertise, of equipment. We're seeing the economy is collapsing day by day. And the unemployment rate is crazily increasing, and the water is undrinkable. People could barely find food and water to feed their children, and so many other levels of dehumanization. Gaza has been sieged 15 years with an absolute policy to suffocate every norms of a human being's existence. And whenever people are expecting what methods of Gaza can express to defend the existence of people in Gaza as much as people in the West Bank and in the Palestinian territories, what Israel has been enforcing to Gazans is a bargaining play, that if you remain silent, we will grant you crumbs of rights, we will grant you a little bit of water, natural resources to use. We will grant you 8 hours a day of electricity. We will grant you other services of import and import, of export and import coming in and out of Gaza. And this is the forms of dehumanization that the international community and the mainstream are failing to understand. That is why they are calling and they are entitling our suffering as a matter of a conflict, as a matter of tension, as a matter of escalation, which is so untrue. This is not a conflict. When we are talking about conflicts and tension, we're talking about symmetrical powers that are, I would say, having the same military equipment, the same funding. And to talk about the funding itself, which the U.S. is granting impunity on the political level as much as funding Israel with the $3.8 billion per year, mainly to fund the military occupation. Those facts, they're not new to the people who are following the news coming out of Gaza, but you don't hear our stories. You only hear our stories wherever they are, whenever there are numbers of people dying, wherever there are hundreds of people injured, and wherever there are tens and hundreds of bombing happening in different areas of Gaza. That is why we're trying to amplify those stories. We don't want you to see us as means of numbers. We don't want to see us as means of people suffering, but we are people trying to live in peace and dignity. And Israel is not allowing this. And Israel has been violating all norms and all accords of humanity with full impunity by the U.S. government as well as the supreme countries all over the world.
And Assam, as far as the telling of Palestinian stories is concerned, could you also talk about the coverage in the Israeli media? I mean, some have said that media that are routinely critical of Prime Minister Netanyahu's government and his policies, in this instance, in covering this assault in Gaza, those same media outlets have called for the Israeli military, to be as forceful as possible, etc. Talk about how this is being reported in the Israeli media.
Of course, the Israeli media, with the support of the international media as well, they are reporting Gaza as terrorist because they are only focusing on the reaction, on the self-defense reaction of the Palestinians in Gaza shooting rockets. But why? Why to discuss the shooting of rockets and ignoring the fact that Israel has been ethnically cleansing Palestine since 1948? Land grabbing Palestinians, forcibly expelling Palestinians in the West Bank, in the occupied territories, and even not allowing people of the diaspora to return as stipulated by the United Nations Resolution number 194. We're talking about many human rights violations that should be worthy to be discussed and should be worthy to be asked for. But when it comes to Gaza, they only see Gaza as means of reaction. And when it comes to shooting rockets, in compared to what happened, for instance, during the Great March of Return, we can clearly see and we can clearly state that Israel does not really need any reason to violate the human rights. Israel has been violating human rights. Israel has been established on the forcibly expelling of Palestinians, on the killing, on the imprisonment, including children and women. We have been seeing this aggression on Gaza in 2008, 2012, 2014, and nowadays. Taking an example of this aggression in 2008, when Israel launched a vast-scale bombing in Gaza, in 3 minutes, death toll raised to 400 people died. During the Great March of Freedom, people protested peacefully, which is supposedly the international laws protecting what we have encountered with live ammunition, explosive bullets, sniper rifles, tear gas, and so many other means that are considered internationally prohibited to be used against peaceful protesters. So why to discuss the reaction, the angry reaction of the Palestinians, considering the existence? Hamas would have never been existed without the existence of the occupation itself. So I believe, and after 73 years of this occupation, and my age, 27 years, lived under this direct occupation, and for the past 15 years, imprisoned, denied 99% of my right, I believe those sufferings are worthy to be discussed. Those sufferings are worthy to be put in the discussion table with Israel, to impose sanctions, to take those cases to the ICC. And we have been witnessing over the long decades that Israel has never been punished, has never been sanctioned by the ICC, of course, because of the protection and because of the funding that the U.S. administration has been providing for so long.
All right, folks, so you heard it. That was a clip from Democracy Now! Talking about the death toll that happened in the land of Israel, where these two factions are fighting against each other, the Arabs as well as the Europeans, fighting over the land of Israel that belongs to the indigenous nation of Israel, who was scattered from the land years ago. Centuries ago, the people of that particular land, which is in Northeast Africa, that we call Israel, were originally dark-skinned people, were originally black peoples. They lived in the land of Egypt, and then during the time of Moses, they were set free from Egypt and fled to that area, which is Canaan, which was the land of Ham. If anyone can look in history, the land of Ham was the land of blacks. The children of Israel were also so-called blacks. And the fact of the matter remains that, historically speaking, that piece of land doesn't belong to any of the people that are there currently. So let's break down the timeline a little bit. The children of Israel were there during the time of Moses and Joshua. Later on, they fought against the Assyrians, and half of them were taken into Assyria during the Assyrian captivity. Then you had a few of them return, but a lot of them were still in captivity there. Then you had the major captivity where the kingdom of Judah now was taken by the Babylonians, and ever since then they suffered from captivity to captivity, but always returned. They had the Medes and the Persians, then they had the Greeks, then they had the Romans during the time of Christ, and after Christ in 70 AD, Vespasian destroyed the land with the Edomites, the Romans, and the children of Israel have been scattered ever since. These black populations of people fled into West Africa. They lived in the Byzantine Empire and the Roman Empire in different parts of Asia and Europe, and fled also further south into South Africa region, Central Africa, Ethiopia, Zanzibar, Mauritania, Ghana, Mali, and all these other areas. So after the Dark Ages came the period of the quote-unquote Renaissance, when the Europeans and the Arabs and the indigenous Africans took these people into slavery and eventually started the global slave trade that we know of today. Until this day, global slavery still exists, but in various fashions. They call it human trafficking now, but it's still slavery. The people that were taken from these lands have never returned from America, South America, the Caribbean islands, Canada, parts of India, Australia, and other areas that they were taken as captives to their native ancestral lands. So now to see a group of people that claim their identity, that claim to be Israelites, when in reality none of the prophecies pertaining to the Bible relating to slavery happened to them, such as Deuteronomy 28, such as Joel chapter 3, such as Leviticus 21, such as Luke 21, 20 through 21, such as Leviticus 26. None of these prophecies happened to the people that are currently living in that land. It didn't happen to the Palestinians, nor did it happen to the people from the lands of Poland, from the lands of Germany, from the lands of Austria that claim themselves to be Israeli. So these are Arabs and Europeans fighting over that land, and eventually it's going to drag the entire world into World War III. And when World War III transpires, then, Lord's willing, Christ will return, the true Christ, the Black Messiah, and come in and save us from our captivity. What people fail to realize is that once World War III pops off, there's going to be an alien invasion. But the aliens they're thinking about is not going to be the aliens of the movie Men in Black, nor the movie of Independence Day where Will Smith came and tried to save the day. No, the people that are coming from outer space are these, they look just like the people that were enslaved and colonialized. Let me just put it like that. And they're going to come and help us. They're going to come and help the downtrodden. That's why the Bible says the meek shall inherit the earth. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. That's why your friendly neighborhood president, Donald Trump, created a space force and a space command, because they know what's up there. They know what's going to happen. They're setting up the building blocks for World War III, and they're setting up the building blocks for an invasion. They know. They already admitted, the Pentagon, the Navy admitted that there are so-called aliens, but I don't want to go off the deep end because I don't want people to say, oh, this story is going from news to science fiction. No, it's not. It's going into reality. This government system has created a space force for the specific purpose of going to war in space. So any logical person would say, who are they fighting if they're creating an army for space? According to the Bible says there's going to be war in heaven. Christ and his angels are going to fight against the dragon and his angels. We're not talking about mythical beasts and creatures here. We're talking about Christ, the Lamb of God, the Black Messiah, coming to wage war and fight against man, wicked man on the earth. So that's just a little snippet of the future. I don't want to tell you I'm a prophet, but that is prophecy. So you can put your 2 cents in and share this podcast if you like, and just comment and share and really meditate on these things and have open discussions about this with your friends and colleagues. Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. I hope you can share this content and enjoy the music. Have a great day.
We gon' keep the feast. In times, you know you should be here. Yeah, hey. The feast days are here, our favorite time of year. We keeping it holy, you know you should be here. Tell the brothers and the sisters that we linking up. If you keep the commandments, you family. I can't wait for the feast day. Gather the flock, you know the feast is coming. I'm in the truth and I won't leave for nothing. And we don't do the club no more. It's looking like Last Supper. Disciples is here, all of my brothers. Send in the Addy right now. You should be here too, no grudge, whatever you did, I forgive you. Forgive me for what I did too, we in the truth, it's a miracle. We know better, we gotta do better now. Circumcising our hearts, getting that leaven out. Thinking of all of the stories that I read about. Acts 18, Paul knew the feast was coming, he headed out. A long way from Jerusalem, no car, no plane, he made it there, no excuses. Many don't understand, but the truth is, we under the covenant, that's why we do this. So gather the flock, you know the feast is coming. I'm in the truth and I won't leave for nothing. Yeah, you know we not with them pagan ways. Set apart, you know this ain't a phase. Here come the feast days. The feast days are here, our favorite time of year. We keeping it holy, you know you should be here. Tell the brothers and the sisters that we linking up. If you keep the commandments, you family. I can't wait for the feast days. And we never look back, had to level up. Keeping every set apart day, they not regular. It's going down, you gon' miss it if you never come. On the grill going crazy, you can smell it, huh? And this enough for everyone who gon' bring the word out. Let's get in that Torah, I'm all for it. Leviticus 23, start from the top. Hold up, let's pray first, then read what you got. Yeah, angels is watching, believe it or not. Now that you know the commandment, you gon' keep it or not. Don't tell me go live, you should be in the spot. We the body and we all that we got. Bring it up. So gather the flock, you know the feast is coming. I'm in the truth and I won't leave for nothing. We not with them pagan ways. Set apart, this ain't the phase. The feast days. Feast days are here, favorite time of year. Keeping it holy, you know you should be here. If you keep the commandments, you family. Remember the feast.
12 tribes. Living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, hey, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, hey, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, hey, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, hey, never came like a deceiver, rob y'all niggas that's sneakers, take y'all phone to your beeper, call on God, we gon' see ya. Yeah, we gon' see you in the air, we gon' take it over there, we gon' prepare for the war, for the tears, for the blood, for the years, for the people that you kill, for the mothers and their fears. Turn the slaves into kings, turn the daughters into queens, and the kingdom will reign, and the kingdom will reign. We came like a deceiver, rob y'all niggas out sneakers, take y'all phone to your beeper, call on God, we gon' see ya. Never came like a deceiver, rob y'all niggas out sneakers, take y'all phone to your beeper, call on God, we gon' see ya. Yeah, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, living a righteous life, hey, living a righteous Babylon. Burn, 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 baby, Babylon. You took my people into slavery, it's going down. You took my people into slavery, it's going down. From the west coast of Africa to the shores now of America. Burn, burn now. Oh, Babylon, burn when it burn, baby, burn, 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 burn.
so much for me, I cannot tell it all. Narekelemo. If I had 10,000 tongues, it still won't be enough. Narekelemo. Chukuna kwa moriele. When you heal completely. Narekelemo. Chukun marobimo. Isi ikendule. Narekelemo. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much for me. Nara, nara, he, narekele, narekele mo. Nara, nara, he, narekele, narekele mo. Wajabu, Yesu wajabu, wajabu, mfalme wajabu. Nikiona vitu ulivyoumba, vyaonyesha kuwa nguvu zako, fadhili ulizo nazo kwangu ni za ajabu. Oh, nara, nara, he, narekele, narekele mo. Oh, nara, nara, he, narekele, narekele mo.
Moses and Christ, they gave the law and grace to keep you from sinning so hard. The things before were written afore time that we could learn through all. Patience and comfort, we have the scripts to keep you alive away from sin. But we rebelled, now suffering, and slavery is the price we get. Our women, our children, taken on ships, murdered by enemies, chains and whips. They changed our name from fame to shame. Hebrew to English, the Spanish came. The Nina, the Pinta, the Pilgrims came. Slaughtered our people, Indian names. Gave us religion from cradle to grave. Stuck in idolatry, Caesar Borgia. Babel to Babel is Babylon. America singing the same old song. Put us in chains, then say we're free. Destroy our minds through slavery. The curses in Deuteronomy. The Bible is just our history. The truth someday will set you free. My people, you have to set your mind free.